walk grew and my faith got deeper, that I wouldn't be struggling as much as I do with sin. And I couldn't be more wrong. I feel like it's something I fight with more and more on a daily basis. And I'm just so grateful for His love and His mercy. It just makes me realize more than ever how badly I need a Savior in my life. You know, my debt and my sin is way more than I could ever bear. And I'm just in awe of Him and how He could love us so much that He could just wash us clean and take away my sin, because without Him, I'm nothing. I could do nothing. So today, as we come to His table, something that I've been doing, that I feel that we just need to really examine our hearts and our lives and honestly fess up our sins to Him in true confession, and just believe that He can take away our sins. So as the men come forward, we'll hold the emblems, we'll take them together as a family. So as we take communion, we proclaim the Lord's death until He comes. And we proclaim that we're sinners who believe that His atonement is our salvation. Let's pray. Lord, we're just so amazed by You, Father. We thank You for sending Your Son to die on a cross for us, to forgive us of all of our sins, Lord. We just ask that You just come in our lives and just be our Savior, Father. We love You, we thank You. It's in Jesus' name. Amen. The body that was beaten and bruised for us, and the blood that washed our sin away.
Field Sandcastle. Totally, yeah. Oh, one, two, that's fine. Huh? So now I'm saying that's all I need. There we go. Very cool. Listen,
I wanted to just kind of share with you guys that I try and tell my daughter Genesis this often, and I think your mom and daddies tell you guys too. And maybe not always here from church, but I want you guys to know that for mom and dads out there, man, you kids make us so happy. Like, there's something about just being you guys. You don't even have to do anything. You just wake up, you say hi, you smile at us, and like, you made our day. And I just don't know that you hear it enough, but you guys, and not just your mom and dads, but a lot of other parents in here, a lot of other adults, man, you guys give us such joy. And the beach, man, it's awesome. I love going, but it's nothing compared to hanging out with you guys. You kids are so wonderful. So I just want to say thank you so much for making us so happy and giving us joy that we didn't deserve and getting to share life with you guys. So let me pray for you and then we'll get you dismissed, all right? Let me pray. Father God, I love you. I thank you so much for these beautiful children. We don't deserve them, but you gave us the opportunity to share life with them. And I just pray, God, that we would show them the way that they should go, that we would lead the path closer to you, that we would show them what it means to be full of joy and to know where it comes from. God, that we would act like you acted to us, that we would be a father like you have been to us, that we would be parents that love our kids the way you have parented and loved us. God, thank you so much for this day, for an awesome opportunity to have fun in the sun and just enjoy the blessing of family and our independence and all the things that we've been given. We don't get to say thank you enough, God, but this morning, right now in this moment, I just praise you and thank you so much for the blessing of children, for the joy they bring to our life, for what Go Kids is at Go Church, and that we have such a bright future because of the little children. God, help us to always make sure that we would put them on the stage in literal and figurative ways, God, that they are so special. We love you. Thank you for what you've done and giving us these wonderful kids, children to have in our life, God. We love you so much. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. All right, guys, you're dismissed. You're off. Solid crew. A couple kind of announcements too before I jump into some of this stuff. You guys have been really flexible with kind of our summer schedule, and so as you kind of have seen already, Go Kids is in a separate hallway the last couple weeks, and that might kind of stick for a little bit as the school is cleaning the floors and doing a couple different things to kind of get ready for the school year. It isn't just the hallways for all the different classrooms, though. It's going to be this cafeteria as well, and that's going to start this coming week. So I could use a couple of your, actually most of you, it should be really easy. At the end of service, we're going to kind of clean up like we normally would, and so everything kind of goes back in this closet back here. But for the next couple, 2 weeks, maybe 3, probably 2, we're going to be meeting up this kind of hill to the resource center, the library, kind of whatever they name that. So you'll get to see that. We'll be the next couple weeks. So we need to move some of the stuff up there. Not a whole lot. Shouldn't be too hard, but with many hands, it should make it pretty quick to pull that off. So at the end of service, please stick around for just a minute. Kind of normal tear down in here, and then we'll take some of it right out these doors, and I'll show you kind of where we're going to go for the next couple weeks. So appreciate you guys kind of hanging out with us and trying something different. We are in a new series this morning, and we're going to talk about the road of life. And that's an easy illustration, right? I just think we could talk a lot about the journey that we're on. You know, Ralph Emerson talks about that life is a journey, not the destination, and thinking about every moment that you and I get to share together. And, you know, there are pit stops on the road of life that are powerful, and you have those moments you can reflect back on and see where God moved in your life. And then there's those moments where you straight up broke down, and it's tough. And you got to get back up and get to it. There are moments in the car that are full of joy and ones that are really stressful to think about. I don't know why I did this, but this happened a little ways back. I was in the car with my kids, and we were going somewhere, and something happened in the back seat, and I was, you know, the frustrated parent trying to make sure they were behaving, doing everything right, and I was like overcome by anger, and my reaction wasn't to like yell or reach back and try and hit something. I just started like honking my horn. I was so angry that my muscle, I just had to like, and for no reason, the kids didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing, but that was my reaction to my frustration. But man, there's been plenty of times in the car where it's a frustrating car ride. It might not be as loud or as noisy. Sometimes it's that awkward silence where mom and dad aren't talking. Those aren't fun car rides. It's chapters of life where they feel like it. And there's really good ones too. This is when I was a youth pastor, we did this overnight trip where we wanted to have an evening where we did the sunset at Pine Island and then drove to Cocoa Beach for the sunrise at the sunrise service. Kind of a fun idea, had a lot of fun, and so we took this road trip in the middle of the night to go over this, and we hung out with my brother-in-law at his house until the sun came up. But that trip to Cocoa Beach in the middle of the night, I was in a car with a bunch of dudes, And we started singing. Like I don't even know it was on the radio. And it was pretty epic where I lost my voice. We were singing for like 3 hours nonstop to the radio, and I was just like going to town and meeting these other dudes, and we clicked too when we did that, man, meeting these guys. Just something about like the camaraderie of dudes singing together. Never thought I'd say that out loud, but it really kind of worked. And that memory, and some of the guys, and some of them are in the room that were there. And those are good car rides, right? Those times where you hear that song on the radio, you're gone, you know. We got those good moments in life, and it's a lot of fun. Those chapters are great, but man, that road of life, there's everything in between. And again, it's a good illustration because I think there are those moments where, you might have heard said before that don't be so focused on the past, you can't see the future, and so don't be looking in the rearview mirror so much that you can't see what God's got in front of you. I think also that we can get so focused on what's in front of us that we miss out on what God's trying to show us. And here's what I want to kind of connect the dots. This series, we're going to talk about that there is a road that you and I are on. There's a direction that we're headed. But it isn't always so much a specific goal in mind. And now here's the thing. We're going to talk about it a little later, we've all got life's goals, things that we want to accomplish. I'm standing right in the middle of one of them. It was a huge kind of bucket list thing for me to be a part of a church plant. And that was something where, you could ask me 10 years ago, I'm like, gosh, that's a crazy idea, but I've got so much respect for what that is. And so now to see that kind of goal that I didn't even know I had kind of come to life, and I'm definitely not checking it off because it's something I'll do for the rest of my life, but these goals in our life, right, we pursue different things, and I'm so blessed to be a part of something like that. One of my other kind of bucket list things, I guess, is I would love to write a book. I think that's so cool. And I make it kind of a bucket list thing because if you've read my handwriting, if you've seen anything I write down, like my grammar is horrendous. And then honestly, I speak kind of from the gospel, so I don't think I have a whole lot of original thought. So to have a good idea and have it well written, that's a huge accomplishment that I don't know that I'll actually ever do. But we've got to have those goals. But I'll tell you this, sometimes I've got goals and I'm so focused on those kind of big picture, here's what I want to do with my life, and I don't stop to smell the roses, right? I don't enjoy the little things around me. I can be so focused on my job or whatever the situation might be that I'll neglect my family and my kids. And it makes for a rough day at home sometimes. I think sometimes on this journey that you and I are on, we have to get perspective and slow down a little bit. And here's the thing. There is a direction that I believe we should be headed. Now that direction isn't so much a location as much as it is a person. You and I are in pursuit of Jesus, the one true King, and trying to follow where He is leading. Now that's going to be different places depending on where we're at in our faith. I think when we choose to say yes to Jesus, He's going to lead us in places that we had no idea we were going to go. And do things that we never thought we would do because He's up to some crazy stuff. And I think God is moving in different places of the world, and we want to be in those places and do what He's already in the process of doing, hence our vision. Join God where He's at. Join God making all things new in all different places. And so we're on this journey together. And I want to talk about what it means to enjoy the ride. Because for whatever those reasons might be, I don't want to go through life and just kind of make it day to day. I want to thrive. I want my life to be a blessing so that every car ride is the one where the song is playing versus the one where we're not talking. I want to have every moment, every chapter of my life be better than the one before. I want to be able to look back and reflect on those pit stops and those wonderful memories and not be overwhelmed by all the times that I broke down on the side of the road. Right? Like this is an easy illustration, but the point is we're going somewhere, and don't miss who's in charge and don't miss the little things, because sometimes we can get ahead of ourselves. I know that for me. You guys hear me kind of cast vision and talk about the mission and how important that is. That was all kind of last month, and that's so important. But I think sometimes we can get so overwhelmed by the big picture, we don't stop to just enjoy. And you know what? This morning already was a perfect example of that. You've kind of seen my style a little bit with Sunday morning. A lot of the time I will kind of make sure things are going well with my team and awesome with people doing what they do at the co-church. And then I'll kind of go back here and I'll just kind of hide, get my head on straight for my sermon, get ready to come out here and let you guys out. And so that's kind of my process. And that's good for me. I want to make sure my head's on straight. Sometimes I just gotta stop. I just need to worship. and not worried about those details. And so I sat with my kid. I love getting a chance to do that. And you know what, too? Every once in a while, a song will hit you, and you just kind of close your eyes. And that's what I want in my life. I think I do a lot of preparing for the future and looking ahead. And sometimes I just got to stop and just close my eyes and worship. And I want to talk about what that looks like. Because I think if I don't do that, no matter how much preparation I put into any message or any plan in my life, it's not going to be as good as it can be if I didn't trust the one who set me on the path. If I didn't spend time remembering what he did. And so we are going somewhere, and that somewhere is a person, and that person is Jesus. But here's kind of the easy question. A lot of you already know the answer to, but some case and some time in your life, and maybe you struggle with it or know people that do, is he worth following? Is Jesus really worth giving everything you have to? I think a lot of us agree that he is, but where does that confidence for you come from? Do you believe that what happened is all real? And so the text we're going to go over this morning, in my opinion, is kind of the explanation, the periods at the end of an epic story, the conclusion in a sense. There's so much more to what happens in the Bible, but this story this morning and kind of getting to hear what happened to Jesus after the crucifixion is in some ways the most important part. And so I just kind of, this is an awful gospel as most of these kind of big.
The Sabbath day was now over. It was dawn on the first day of the week. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to look at the tomb. There was a powerful earthquake. An angel of the Lord came down from heaven. The angel went to the tomb. He rolled back the stone and sat on it. His body shone like lightning. His clothes were as white as snow. The guards were so afraid of him that they shook and became like dead men. The angel said to the woman, "Do not be afraid. I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here. He has risen, just as he said he would. Come and see the place where he was lying. Go quickly, tell the disciples. He has risen from the dead. He is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him. Now I have told you." So the women hurried away from the tomb. They were afraid, but they were filled with joy. They ran to tell the disciples. Suddenly Jesus met them. "Greetings," he said. They came to him, took hold of his feet, and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Don't be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me."
Good job. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. You guys know this, I think, by now, but there's always so much to the text and so little that I am intelligent enough to even bring out of the text. And so we're going to do more of things like this where we're going to go over text and I'm going to scratch the surface. And I'm okay with that. I think we're going to continue to build a culture that if you want to go deeper in the words of God, then you do that in your relationships with your mission groups, whether that's you meet at someone's house or wherever you get together. But this environment where we come on Sunday, because I'm just admitting to you that I'm not the scholar that I wish that I was sometimes, I'm just kind of telling you what God reveals to me as I look at this text. So don't assume that your spiritual depth will only happen on Sunday morning in this place. This is where we scratch the surface of the Scriptures. There is so much more that He has to teach us when we spend some time dwelling in His Word. So don't let this be the only place where you rest. With that being said, for me, when I thought about this text and where we were going to go this morning, there's a couple of things that just kind of jumped out at me that I want to share with you. I went through the journey. I went through the process. I went down the road where I had to make a decision if I believed that all of this was real. Because the stories we've been talking about up to this point have been pretty ridiculous, audacious, amazing, overwhelming stories that some man could change your eternal destination. That because of what a man did on the cross for us, we can inherit eternal life in heaven forever. That's a big deal. All the things that Jesus talked about, this idea of loving your enemies and praying for those who persecute you, these ideas of giving forgiveness when you thought you've given all the forgiveness you could, these world-changing ideas, they all happen, and you've got to come to a moment in your life when you either say, you know what, I believe all that's true, or I still wrestle with that. And so I remember when I did. And since then, I've had conversations with people that kind of help them understand why the resurrection is something that you can bank on. That on the journey of life that you're going through, that you can trust who's taken over, who's steering the car, who's moving us forward. That you would trust that He is who He says He is. And so I had to think really critical about that. In fact, I want to talk to you a little bit about the kind of apologetics of how I really have come to believe this is what it is. And then it's really cool because in my study of the apologetics of the resurrection of Christ, I find a motivation to live a life like He did. And so that resurrection story, again, you see in all 4 different Gospels. That's a big deal, and how do you really know that that's true? And so you might have had people in your life tell you that, well, I don't know that really happened. Most historians are going to tell you, and it seems to be true, that Jesus definitely was a real person and definitely died. We know that much is true. Most everyone is going to agree on that. But you're going to have a lot of people, and again, some of them might be in your life right now, where they might tell you, well, I don't know about this whole resurrection thing. I think he was another prophet like the rest of them. But for someone to raise from the dead and come back, that sounds like that could have been, like other stories, a story where the people that were closest to him, his disciples, would have came up with this kind of fairy tale and wanted to tell this story to kind of get people to live a certain life. And so we've seen other religious groups of people where they got together and kind of cooked up some diabolical plan and said, this is what we think happened. And so there's these theories out there where the disciples would have tried to find a way to break open the tomb and take the dead body of Jesus and tell everyone that he was resurrected and come up with this big story. And that's really where Christianity came from, and it's not really worth your time believing in that stuff because that's all crazy talk. There's no way a man truly defeated death. And so there are going to be those moments in your life, as I did, where people challenged me on, why would you, if you're going to go anywhere in life, if there's any direction that your life is going, why would you trust that one? Doesn't that seem so easy to mess up? I mean, you played the game telephone when you were younger where you've heard things and then the next person, it kind of changes a little bit. And the next person, so how can you really trust this story from years and years and years ago? Couldn't there be some things that were kind of off? I mean, this is people wrote this stuff down. And we're supposed to believe with our whole life that it really happened the way that it did? That's a lot. We're banking a lot of our life. And Paul talks about, man, if we're wrong, the foolishness of men, and if we're really kind of believing something that isn't true, then my goodness. But if it is true, that really means a whole lot more to the way we live our life. And so I had to wrestle through some of that. Now, specifically, that argument that it was this made-up story, there's a lot of kind of debate against it. So what I was kind of taught and understood myself was, if you look at and you've seen this in like the Case for Christ or some different ways of kind of looking at things, and so you can take some of this information we have in the Gospels and look at it like a course case, like a case in court. And so say, hey, you've got these witnesses, and in fact, an eyewitness, more than one, would be a good way to prove something might have happened. And so if you look at the text, there is a group of eyewitnesses that saw what happened, and that plays a big role because if you have valid eyewitnesses that prove that this event happened, then that makes it much more believable and something you can hold up in a case at court. And so your first witnesses are the women, Mary Magdalene and Mary, Mother of James. And they get referenced a couple times in addition on all these 4 Gospels with a purpose. And I love that too because these women were the first one to kind of see that, okay, something happened, and an angel appears to them and says, hey, Jesus isn't here, we need you to go over here. And it's this really cool kind of opportunity for them to be the first ones. And I love that they are the first ones. I think there's so much to be said about what God did by choosing to reveal that this happened through women. But in that generation, in that culture, in that case, it would be unreliable witnesses to have women testify. And so there's a couple guys that, again, would argue against Christianity and say, of course this is all made up because, you can't trust the opinion of women anyway. They're hysterical. You can't trust what they're saying. This is this guy saying, listen, they're not worth listening to. I don't know where you got that idea, but sometimes they can be unreliable things. And then so the really cool kind of response to that is, hey, listen, if this was all made up, if this was some act the disciples wanted to put together to prove something, just to make up a story, why would they ever choose an unreliable witness to make their case? Wouldn't they want to have the most trustworthy, the most reliable witnesses to prove their point? But that in this story, God would choose women to reveal himself? That in a course, I can't even say that phrase now, in a court system. They wouldn't want it to be something like an unreliable witness like him in that context. But if it's true, that just shows that God wanted to use women in a very, very special way. And that, you know what, that story is going to be difficult and overwhelming sometimes to believe. And so there's something very special about that dynamic that God would choose to reveal it to women. Now here's what's really cool. These witnesses, they continue to kind of flood the case, right? And so you've got all this context and all this content in the scriptures that talk about Jesus appearing to people for 40 days or so. We see this in the book of Acts, chapter 1. It talks about that for 40 days he appeared to people. More than a couple hundred people and different witnesses got to see him, got to eat with him, got to spend time with him. And now Paul ended up writing 1 Corinthians in AD 50. This would have been a couple years after the incidents of the crucifixion. And so if there were people living that said, wait a minute, this resurrection thing never actually happened. You made up a story. They would have been alive to say that it wasn't true. And so in this case, all these witnesses seeing Jesus, understanding that it really happened, man, that speaks some real volume. Now, when I would get into arguments, and I'll admit to you, I was one of those guys where I'd get on Facebook or social media and get into those stupid arguments with people that don't believe, and that usually didn't go anywhere. And I would get caught up in this very point of the conversation. And they would say to me, well, I know that you're trying to prove Jesus is who he says he is, but you can't use Scripture to prove that Scripture is true. And so they love to kind of throw that argument that, well, the Bible's full of errors and it's all this kind of crazy stuff, so you can't say that Scripture, you can't quote Scripture and that equals the truth, because the guy at the time, the young man, a couple guys, one of them, his name's Brady, I'll never forget this guy. He's like, I don't believe Scripture is real anyway, so you can't use that to prove your case that Jesus really did do what he said he did. So I kind of found myself thinking about it. And again, these conversations sometimes online, arguing with people, they honestly go nowhere. And so they can be very stressful. And it was, but there's something I got that was so powerful from the conversation, I'll never forget. And so I can say to you guys that from Scripture, I see the witnesses from all different walks of life, all different backgrounds, that God was using that on purpose. And it has a very special kind of weight to it. I'm just kind of talking about some of the things that I've come to know over the years and what I've seen. And if you want to get into some of those discussions on how you can know it's true, and I'd love to talk to you after. And this has been a journey for me, and I've loved it. But the thing that really changed everything for me wasn't necessarily that the text shows us that there's an empty tomb, that there is no body. The text shows us that there's reliable witnesses that prove that this is what happened. What really kind of changed my life was that when I thought about that question, what proved to me that Jesus really resurrected from death without the Scriptures? I had to think about it this way, and it's changed everything for me. I said, Brady, explain to me then how a group of people that followed Jesus for a couple of years, were amazed by his teaching, interested in what he had to do, and the disciples that were very, very close to him, that after he was killed, and so then in the story that you're telling me, Brady, that they just kind of took the body and they made this big show of it. So how is it that after Jesus died, this group of people all of a sudden have this explosion of faith? The early church in the record shows that just kind of a small band of people that called themselves followers of the way, that followed Jesus and thought he was worth spending time with. How is it that when he died, all these people kind of became emboldened by the story? We're living with real passion for it, and the early church exploded. And so now thousands of people are following this Christianity, so much so to where Rome adopts it as their faith, and it takes over the Roman world and then takes over the world, that the faith exploded. So how is it that Christianity exploded if Jesus never did anything but die? How is that true? And that's the question I asked him. And again, at the time, it was a Facebook argument. It was more heated than intelligent, and it just didn't go anywhere. But what stood out to me was that these disciples that were cowardly in some ways, that would want to hide from confrontation, this group of people that when Jesus died, they thought, I don't know what comes next. I mean, we loved where this was going, but I'm not sure. And then when Jesus came back and defeated death and said, all of what I did was real, all of it was true, that gave them a strength, that gave them a boldness, and that they became the witnesses. that they shared their faith all over the place, going into all of the world to teach people about Jesus, that they had such a passion, they were on fire for something so powerful that it couldn't just be some kind of lie. If you're one of the disciples and you were fabricating a lie, then why would you be willing to be crucified, to be executed? All the disciples, except for John, and he met his own end, and it wasn't pleasant either, they were all killed in a very similar way to Jesus, if not worse. And so if these disciples made up this story, then I don't know about you, but usually you don't give your life up for a lie. It seemed like they really believed in what happened, and they were emboldened to live that kind of life. So they said, we'll do anything we need to do to share the story, because there's this guy that we know that died and came back, and we had lunch the other day. And so I can't not share that with everyone that I know. And so they lived out the gospel. They go and make disciples of all nations. They lived that out because they saw something that changed everything for them. And so, to me, that is the most powerful thing to me. That outside of what the text says, and the text is very convincing, and in and of itself has so much to say about what happened to Jesus. When I think about the fact that the world changed after means something big happened. Some moment changed everything. I can only think of one moment, one event that would be so big, that would rattle the earth itself. And that is that Jesus Christ he defeated death. He came back from it and showed us that, hey, everything I've been telling you is true. Everything that I've been teaching you is the way to live. So if there's any person that I'm going to follow with my life in the road that I'm on, it's going to be him. It's going to be wherever he leads me, because he is who he says he is. But the thing that got me in that conversation with him many, many years ago wasn't the intellectual argument about whether I can believe or not. It was that these people had a certain way of living life before. They were following Jesus, they were learning as they went. But when Jesus did what he did, when he defeated death and came back, there was the, again, explosion of the early church. I think to me that's an image of living life to the fullest, of thriving in the life that they were given. They had a boldness, they had a power to not fear anything. They were willing to go wherever they needed to go. They were willing to do whatever they needed to do. And I think that kind of picture of life is what I want for myself, is what I want for you. I want us to wherever the goals in our life might be, whether that's writing a book or doing this or doing that. We've all got goals in our life, and that's good. But man, if we can remember who's in charge of what we're doing all the time, man, that changes everything. And so, in whatever little ways you might need to think about it, or you've already been completely convinced of the fact that Jesus is everything that he said he was. And so if you're behind the wheel, literally today when you're driving back home, and your car rides might be pleasant, sometimes they're difficult, sometimes you have really, really good ones, and other times you don't. Remember where you're going. Remember who it is you're following. Now, I'm not going to, disclaimer, I'm not going to literally ask you to close your eyes when you're driving. Don't you do that. But there are moments in life when the song might be playing on the radio, it might happen in front of you, it might be a song that isn't using words, but there are moments where God wants you to close your eyes. Just hear him speak into your life, because he's got a plan for you. He doesn't want you to miss that. And we get so overwhelmed by where we're trying to go, and we plan out the next couple of months and a couple of years, and we miss what's right in front of us. I know that Jesus is who he says he is. I know that he defeated death, and it gives me a perspective on how I live my life. And so I think maybe that means I need to not take myself so seriously, and I need to enjoy the fact that I'm loved by God that set me free. I think sometimes that means I need to be a little bit more forgiving with myself and with other people, and not be so worried about stuff. And I get so, even this very week, and a lot of you are the same the last couple of weeks, just overwhelmed by it, man, kids being sick and this happening and that, and it just bogs me down. But man, if I remember where I'm going and who I'm following, and I remember that he is really who he says he is, and this road of life that I'm on, man, it is worth the trip, it is worth the effort. Everything that I do on that path is worth my time. And I want that for every single one of you. And man, it might be good too. Maybe it happened today, maybe it'll happen later, but you get a moment just to close your eyes and let him speak into your life and let him overwhelm your heart, because he is who he says he is. Now here's the deal. I speak from my heart and kind of share where I'm going, and we're going to talk more about kind of the road that we're on and how we can learn to worship God a little bit better with our actions, with prayer, with different things, and that's going to be kind of helpful tools for you as we journey together. But I've also found that when we get together, it's really, really cool when you guys get to talk to each other. I think there is a little too much emphasis on the speaker up front and not enough on your voices out there as well. And so kind of the way I want to end service, we're doing, and not watching, so I can't tell. We're doing pretty good on time. But here's what I want to do. Is there's going to be a couple questions up on the screen. I want to give you guys like 5 minutes, and I want you guys to get in groups of like 3 to 5. And you can talk about these questions, but most importantly for me, just be able to pray together. Because you are on a journey, and you're taking steps in your life. And you're trying to figure these things out that God has for you. And so I want to start off by saying, I completely trust who's leading my car. I completely trust who's got the wheel in my life. And so if you have doubt, that's where you've got to start. If you've got questions about who Jesus really is, then you've got to get that answer first, because knowing that he is who he says he is, that gives you more clarity, right? So make sure you have that one figured out. That's important that you guys all understand that. And then once you've made that decision, and then, okay, here's some little things, here's some big things, steps I can take to continue to let him be in charge and let him lead me where he's going to lead me. Because odds are, if you trusted him and you let him take the wheel in your life, and you go where he's called you to go, it will be not what you expected and better than you can imagine. It will be more than you can comprehend, and the best joy that you will ever get to be a part of. And so trust him with your life. Let him lead you where he's going to lead you, and figure out how to do it together with other people because you need him. So let me pray for you. The questions will be up here. I'll get you, again, try and break in groups of 3 to 5. Find some people around you, give them a chance to say hi. A couple of questions and pray together, and we're going to close with the song, all right? So let me pray, and we'll get to it. Father, I love you like crazy. I thank you for this awesome group of people. I thank you, God, that you use crazy people like me and use us to do things that we are so not capable of. And that you made us a part of a story that is so much bigger than us. God, I'm so grateful that you have showed up in my life. I mean, man, I still have questions, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly how you move and where you're leading me. But I trust that you are going to say you are. And I believe that you're going to do things that the world is not ready for, and you promised you were going to do it ahead of time. I believe that you are making all things new. And I want to be there for it. I don't want to miss a single moment of it. I don't want to miss the moments of resurrection in your story and in my story. I don't want to miss anything that you might be doing. So God, I pray that you will help us to be accountable to each other, to take steps closer to you together, to not leave anybody behind, to know that the journey that we're on in discipleship, man, we got to bring people with us to the same place. So God, I just pray you help us to hear you speak in our life, to trust that you are who you say you are, to give you everything and let you take over in our journey, to take over the wheel and lead us where you want to lead us, and that we will grow closer to you together, because with you is the best place, and I don't want to be anywhere else. I love you, Father, and I thank you so much. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, so I think they're going to be up there, and then
You already got 3. I'm sorry, I can't join. 3 from that. 5.